international trade is very, very important to our economic activities. That's first thing that we know, right? Then question is, how do we measure economic activities? Okay, we go to the market and buy something, and you just try to sell something at eBay. Well, that's all kinds of economic activities. But among these economic activities, international trade is very, very important. Why? Because more than 30%, okay, of economic activities is made by what? International trade. The question is, how do we measure economic activities? We probably use this concept. You probably know this. If not, then try to refresh your memory on macroeconomics. We try to measure economic activity by GDP. GDP is gross domestic product. Well, some people try to use GNP, gross national product. They are slightly different, but they're all trying to measure how much we produced in our economy. You have to know that once we produce, those goods are traded and consumed. So the volume of trade over this GDP is basically speaking more than 60%. Whenever I say 60%, the trade volume is nothing but sum of exports and imports. Sometimes we export our good to the other countries. Sometimes we import the good from foreign countries. So whenever we try to add exports and import together, that's the trade volume. But here in our lecture note, more than 30% of world GDP, world output is sold across national border. So in this case, is that we only think about export. So, but if we put this together, then more than 60%. That's huge. That's huge. So then, since we live in the United States, it's better to focus on U.S. trade. Yes, U.S. trade with many other countries. Then our textbook shows that 5 biggest trading countries of the United States is this: Mexico, Canada, China, Japan, and Germany. This is big. Can you see this table? Yes. So I got this data from the U.S. Census, which published this press the materials every month. By looking here, right, in the United States, in 2020, U.S. export how much? $2.1 trillion of goods. $2.1 trillion. If this is small, let me make it bigger. So here, $2.1 trillion. And also U.S. import how much? $2.8 trillion. So from here, right, sum of export and import for the case of U.S. is almost $5 trillion. Then what is the U.S. GDP? How much is the U.S. GDP in 2020? This is around $21 trillion. Okay, so the trade volume to the GDP for the case of U.S. is around what? Almost 25%. Then these are the biggest U.S. trading partners. I checked this number with 2020. Not much changes. 19 or 2020, almost same. Given this data, we can find out that Mexico and Canada are neighboring countries. But what about China, Japan, and Germany? As you guess, China is the second biggest economy in the world. And third biggest economy in the world is what? Japan. And Germany. Germany is the fourth biggest economy in the world. Of course, the biggest economy in the world is what? So from here, these economies are really big economies. So from this data, what we can find is that the trade volume, not only of the world, but also of the US, depending on what? These two factors. This is only from data. So this is what? Mexico and Canada are neighboring countries, the distance. And then this, China and Japan and Germany, they are big economies. So we can find out that size of economy of trading countries. So from this data, trade volume, depending on what? Distance and size of the economy. That idea is called gravity model in international trade. This model began in 1962. Gravity model shows that trade volume of country I and J, depending on this. Country I's economy, the size of country I's economy, and the size of country J's economy. But then divided by distance between country I and country J. Then given this the data, economists actually try to find out, okay, how much distance is important, how much of this size of economy is important. Then we figure out that for the case of US, and let's say if distance increase by 10%, and the trade volume decrease around 7%. If GDP increase by 10%, then trade volume increase by 1%. If China's GDP increase by 10%, then US trade volume with China will increase by how much? Around 6%. This is what we find out from the data.